Nike stock is surging following the news late last week that CEO John Donahoe is stepping down. Donahoe's 4-year tenure was a rocky one, with Nike losing market share, breaking off relations with key retailers, and according to some critics, losing its cool factor. Elliott Hill, a Nike veteran, is coming out of retirement, who you apparently know, Scott Galloway, to be the new CEO. You had talked about Nike's woes back in July. You predicted that Donahoe had 12 months to figure it out or he'd be removed. That's a lot sooner. Nike shares rose 8% in after-hours trading on Thursday following the news. You also predicted that an activist investor was going to come in and make some moves. Bill Ackman's Pershing Square purchased 3 million shares of Nike back in the second quarter, according to recent filings. What do you think? Let me hear your thoughts on him. Elliott Hill, he's a career Nike man, started as an intern.
Nike was one of my biggest clients at L2, and I love this company. I mean, it's super smart people. I love the brand. I love the unapologetic brand positioning of you didn't win silver, you lost gold. I think of Nike as intrinsic to an American ideal of individual performance and running so hard you throw up. I just love the brand. They've done an amazing job. Now, bringing in a guy who didn't have a background in merchandising, didn't have a background in apparel, didn't have a background in sports, he was basically a consultant, very impressive guy, and then ran a tech platform, was a decision for them to go all in on tech. And I want to be clear, I would have made the same decision, and I basically advocated when I was working with Nike for them to go more direct to consumer. What they weren't expecting, and I wouldn't have predicted, and it's easy to Monday morning quarterback, so let me say I would have gotten this wrong, is that retail came surging back much faster post-pandemic than people had expected. And their enormous bet on direct-to-consumer at the cost of managing and supporting their third-party retail backfired on them. In addition, we talked about this, the China chill has infected a lot of these companies, including Nike. And then what people will say that he has to take responsibility for is their product development hasn't been nearly as innovative as Adidas with their vintage line, or Hoka, or responded to Hoka or On running, that they've basically been out merchandised. This guy, I didn't spend a lot of time with him, but he's hugely respected. And it just feels like the right move from a morale standpoint. He's a product guy. He's out of central casting. He's one of these guys, when I was in meeting with him, he was just sort of, was a great listener. And then when he spoke, everybody sort of waited to hear what this guy would say. So I think it's great they brought back somebody from Nike and Nike alumni. But the Nike brand and the relationships they have and the resonance they have and the distribution, I mean, you just do not want to bet against this company. I think it's actually a really good buy right now.
Right, interesting. You had talked about that, and you know, the Phil Knight is the player here. Like, he liked John. I think he was. That's what I understand. I like John. I've known him over the years, but you know, I think he had an audience of one, which was Phil Knight, which was keeping him in power. But at some point, you have to. You know, there's a lot more competition in the space. There's a lot more innovation in the space. And you know, just like Intel, it's like, wow, this company has sort of lost a step. And it's certainly still, I think, the most important brand in sports. It just is, right? It's not, you know, Intel's got a lot of competition. Nike does too, and there's all kind, like all the people who bought Nikes are now wearing Hokas, right? Because their back hurts. Or there's a bunch of other brands that younger people.
On stock is like double. I mean, On is
it is. That's the one Zendaya is advertising with. You know, there's a lot of people moving into the space, but you know, to unseat Nike, it's a mistake on Nike's part, right? Not to continue to be cool.
I think it all kind of reverse engineers to a 17-year-old is spending more time on TikTok than watching broadcast television. Nike's weapon, their sword, if you will, for fighting their wars was broadcast. They were the best broadcast advertiser in history. But now you have the majority of the customer is now learning about brands from more long-tail sources, influencers, Instagram, and sport. They're still really strong in sport. But I think their product just got a little bit stale. I think this is more a product story and maybe supply chain around being faster to market with new product ideas and maybe reinvesting and showing some more love for their retail partners. I don't think it's
they wandered around with the watch stuff. Remember the exercise watch?
Oh, the Fuel Band?
Yeah, they wandered around. over in digital for a while, which makes sense, but they wandered a little too bad. They didn't do a good job.
But my kids,
yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm just saying, I think they wandered in areas that weren't really big and made a big deal of them. And the stores, they're huge stores, but they've closed a bunch of them, actually. They have a big one in San Francisco, couple big ones in New York, but they closed the D.C. one here, for example. But the thing is, you know what I'm wearing right now? Like at least 4 pieces of Nike right now, shoes.
Well, that's the problem with the brand, Kara. I mean, no offense, but when 62-year-old podcasters wearing Nike, that means it's all over.
But Alex liked it for a while, but now he still loves Nike. I have to say, he was a Nike man, and he still is. I have a lot.
My kids, I have 2 teenage boys who are basically their market, and one wears New Balance, and the other wears Nike and Adidas, and it used to be just all Nike all the time. And New Balance has made a comeback, which no one was predicting.
Yeah.
But this is it's almost like a bit of a fashion market, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. But you know what? I am cool, Scott. So I don't know what you understand. That.
That's what you focused on, right?
I'm super.
That's
cool.
what you focused on.
I do like Nike clothes. They were better, but although I just bought Uniqlo some joggers that were fantastic and shirts. They were fantastic. Uniqlo makes really great stuff. I'm wearing Uniqlo underwear right now, just in case you're interested.
Wow.
And they're lovely. They're very refreshing. I like them.
And there goes our Uniqlo sponsorship.